Hey everybody, how's it going today? Hope you're staying dry wherever you're at. Show you a quick video clip from early this morning out here in the Arizona desert. This is from southeast Phoenix. About 5 o'clock in the morning, heard something coming down pretty good. Looked outside and sure enough we had some pretty steady rain showers coming down. It's been like that off and on for the last 24 hours. And from what I understand, it's going to be like that for the next 48 hours. So, not a bad thing. Said yesterday or the day before, we like rain out here. At least I do here in the desert. Washes that pollen out of the air and keeps the dust down. That's one of the big benefits of rain in the desert. Keeps the dust down. But that's from this morning. Also going to take a quick look at a cyclone that we thought might form off of the Gold Coast of Australia. Well, new models have come out and showing that it does look like it's going to at least turn into some degree of a cyclone. Offshore rain totals are nearing 30 inches. That's forecasted right now. And the reason I'm showing that is because if this storm system turns inland, I mean, it could bring, you're seeing right there, 28 inches, 30 inches of rain inland if it turns. It's too early to tell, but it is a forecast. It can and it will change for sure. So we're keeping an eye on that cyclone that is forming right now. It's now considered a invest system. Could turn into a cyclone any day. So we'll keep an eye on that. Definitely watching it. There's actually two. One in northwestern Australia and one in northeastern Australia. Right now we're in the central plains of the United States following some severe weather. Some of these storms that you're looking at here at windy.com have cloud tops of 60,000 feet. I've seen a couple. One was 64 earlier, and they're getting taller. With the daytime heating, these storms are going to continue for the next few hours, and we're going to keep a close eye on them because in this area, especially in northeast Nashville, there was that tornado outbreak. These storms here also have the potential to produce tornadoes, so we're going to keep an eye on these for a while. You can see the lightning associated with these storms, dropping a lot of rain. Rain rates anywhere in the neighborhood of 1 to 2 inches per hour. Some of these areas where the rain is moving to, the ground is already saturated. Definitely don't need any more rain in the south, especially in central Mississippi, central Alabama, places like that. Don't need any more rain, but it is on the way. So here's what we're going to do. Here's a map the National Weather Service put out this morning, and that was via Twitter, talking about the potential for severe weather today. And that's in this area that we're going to be focusing on. In fact, we're going to hop right to it. Here we go. We're going to start out here in Arizona. These are the storms that went through our area. Well, they've been going through the area for, like I said, over 24 hours. And that's what brought quite a bit of rain that you saw in that little video clip just a few hours ago. Now it's up in the Tonto Basin, headed northeast towards Pine and Payson, towards Snowflake, up in that general area, just slightly east of Flagstaff. But that was over the Phoenix area earlier this morning, and there's more coming. Tomorrow, from what I understand, out here in the Phoenix area, we're supposed to get thunderstorms with lightning and maybe a slight chance of pockets of severe weather, but nothing major. But there is a chance of severe weather tomorrow and Friday. Now we're going to hop over to the Central Plains where these storms are moving at a pretty good clip from west to east. at around 20-25 mile an hour, maybe quicker, just depends on the cell. And you can see right now, if you're in the area of Clarksdale, you got storms rolling in that are in the 50,000 foot range. Go over to south of Falcon, north of Marks, got storms in the neighborhood, that wall of storms right there. And what we're going to be watching for are echo signatures. That could be indicative of a tornado, quite possibly rotation. If we see any rotation on here, we're definitely going to be taking a closer look at it. But that storm right there, 62,000 foot, 60,000 foot storm. So they are very capable, in fact, more than capable of producing large hail. I'm sure they're getting large hail in these areas. Marks, this would be in Arkansas, Falcon. It's headed towards Crowder, Lambert, Clarksdale. Clarksdale is right in the middle of it right now. And these are large storms. I mean, they cover a wide area. And as these next few hours progress, these storms are only going to get stronger before evening. The daytime heating will cause these storms to get a little bit stronger. And then as nightfall approaches, they should, but it's not always the case, they should weaken some. Moving east, slightly southeast, at about 20-25 miles an hour. Going to move in a little tighter here. We're looking for echoes. Storms rolling through Clarksdale right now. Clarksdale, Arkansas. Very strong thunderstorms. Lyon probably received hail. Depending on the rainfall rates, I would say those are at least 2 inches per hour rates. Obviously, they're not over the same area for an hour straight, but they're dropping intense sheets of rain, high winds. We'll have to check and see if there's any power outages in these areas. We're going to follow that real close too. I've got a lightning map we're going to watch. There is quite a bit of lightning associated with these storms. So if you don't have to go outside during these intense thunderstorms, I wouldn't. A lot of lightning. Moving into northern Mississippi, and you can see back here, south of, I think this is Little Rock, yeah. There's just a line, a steady line of thunderstorms. That just keep generating. And all of this stems from that large, what looked like, it's kind of still there, an atmospheric river that was in the southeast Pacific, moving up across Mexico into Texas, now into Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and it's only going to continue to move eastward. Steady pattern. And this energy is going to hop into the Atlantic and catch the train into the North Atlantic, possibly creating yet another storm system up there. It's just been an unbelievable just a sequence of storms, one after another after another. It's like an assembly line of severe weather. And here's some more of it. And in fact, that just updated. Let me stop that real quick. Right in here. That's a 60,000 foot storm right there, south of Sledge, Arkansas, 62. Look at that. I don't see any signs of rotation. That's the main thing. We're watching for tornadoes. Definitely watching for tornadoes. There's no good time for a tornado, but if there had to be one, or if there has to be one, I suppose daytime opposed to night would be the choice. If you had to pick, at least in the daytime, you're most generally up, moving around, can kind of keep an eye on things yourself. If there's an alert, you can take cover. Ideal place is a basement if you have one. If not, interior room with no windows, and stay in there until the storm passes. And if it did happen to go over your home, you should more than likely be safe in an interior room. These storms here are getting stronger in an interior room with no glass. Yeah, that storm that just went past Clarksdale is getting stronger, starting to develop a slight bow. We're going to keep an eye on that one. This one back here, luckily it's in a rural area, but you're seeing that backside wrap around. That's an indication sometimes of rotation. But right now it's out in the middle of a rural area, which is good. Moving towards the area of Shelby, Winstonville, just updated. A place called Alligator. Never heard of that. Alligator, Arkansas. Right there it is, look. Alligator, Arkansas. I didn't know we had an Alligator, Arkansas. All right, Batesville. If you're in the area of Batesville, Pope, Crowder, Cortland, Marks, Arkansas, all of these are Arkansas. Lambert, Charleston's going to be in the middle of these storms probably in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Clarksdale's kind of on the backside into the moderate rain right now that's going to last for probably the next few hours. This severe line of storms is what we're keeping a close eye on. We're watching for rotation. Big bow echoes. We saw some down in southern Georgia a few days ago that definitely had the potential to create spin, rotation, tornadoes. Didn't create any that I heard of, but the components were there. The components were definitely there, just like you see here. The components are here, but that's not a guarantee that there's going to be a tornado. But we're going to watch just in case. I like to follow these storms and keep a close eye on them, you know, when we're up and I know they're happening and I can watch them and hopefully offer, you know, a little bit of assistance if anybody's listening and they're in the path of these storms. You know, every little bit helps. It's a team effort, you know, especially after what happened. You know, everybody did what they could. There just wasn't much that could be done with the Nashville tornadoes. I mean, the National Weather Service put out warnings, you know, but when people are asleep, you know, like I said before, that's just very sad. And I'm thinking about the people in Northeast, Middle Tennessee. Hope everything gets back to normal, at least some sense of normalcy soon. Here's another big, tall storm, 60,000 footer right there. And that's headed directly towards Batesville, Arkansas. Very big, powerful, tall boy right there that capable of producing at least tennis ball size hail. It's got that updraft. Remember, tornadoes pull up, hurricanes push down. That's just the mechanics of those storms. And you would think they would both be the same, but they're not. Tornadoes are primarily land-based. Hurricanes are primarily water-based. Hurricanes push down, tornadoes up. But you got to watch for that rotation, that counterclockwise rotation, and you can definitely see it on this super res reflectivity. I mean, it's not totally obvious, but you can tell when the system is starting to turn counterclockwise. I'm seeing something back here. See this void back here in the back? Right here? That's from wind. So there's wind behind this storm, and there's wind in front of this storm. That's an indication of pretty strong wind coming out of this entire system as a collective. Those extend back for the entire state, pretty much, or at least over half of the state of Arkansas. And all of this energy is moving east. Wabaseka, Humphrey, DeWitt's right on the edge. All of these are in Arkansas. We're going to hop over to Mississippi here real quick and see how things are looking over there. That's on the far east side of this radar that we can't see on this radar, but we're going to move over to Mississippi where we can see it right in here. There we go. Yeah, these are, oh wow, this is a large area. Oh my. All right, we are in northern Mississippi, southern, southwestern Tennessee. We're going to keep a close eye on these here, guys. We don't, there's a storm right there headed towards, where's Nashville? Okay, Nashville's in the clear right now. That's good. That's the last thing they need is another storm. But there's storms in the area, guys, so just a big heads up, that's all. There's a system here by Stantonville that looks like it's in Tennessee. It's headed towards Collinwood. These storms are very strong. All of that orange is a very heavy rain system right there. And it's only getting stronger. Whew, that's a big system. Some super tall clouds in there, a ton of lightning. The system right here is definitely gaining strength. This is the one that we've been watching over in Arkansas. Now it's at 64,000. Wow. Okay, we need to check and see if that's got rotation. Hang on. Don't see anything yet. That's a good thing. Those are incredibly tall storms right there. That's over 10 miles high. That's 11 miles high. Tornado could get wrapped in rain in there and you wouldn't even see it. It's happened before. Those are very strong thunderstorms. And if they stay together, they're headed towards, yeah, that's got a long, see the direction of the storm? They've got that thing extending out. Let's measure here real quick. 4, 24 miles, linear. Yeah, 24 miles. That's going to stay together that long and will quite possibly get stronger. It's headed in this direction here. That storm has the possibility to produce strong, very strong thunderstorms right there. Right here, this one. That is a big storm. When they reach up that high in the atmosphere, they can produce very large hail. That tells you when the signatures show the pinks and stuff like that, that means it's got an incredibly strong updraft. Just to get that high. So the updraft is very strong. It's creating what... Have you ever seen a storm that looks like an anvil? You've all seen them. They're the ones that look like a big mushroom cloud. Some of them, the profile looks like an anvil. That's... you know, the storms that have incredible updrafts. And they also have very strong downdrafts on the back side of those storms. But the updraft is what, in some cases, not all, takes moisture way up into the atmosphere, 10, 11 miles high, where it's very cold. And that cold air can turn the liquid into a solid. And where we're at right now, guys, we are in northwestern Mississippi. See where we're at here? This is where we're at, northwestern Mississippi. Right in this area here. And these storms are going to be in this circle. In fact, they're very heavy in this circle you see here, 177-mile radius. And they're going to be here for several hours. I'm going to zoom back in close so we can watch for tornado signatures is what we're doing. Batesville, right here, that's Batesville, Mississippi. Or no, Batesville, Arkansas. Actually, it's right on the line. Where is Batesville? It's right as you cross into Mississippi, I believe. Yes. Yeah, that's a humongous storm. Batesville Interior room, quite possibly a basement. A basement would be a very good idea. I mean, these storms are covering a long ways. Let's just measure that area right there of intense thunderstorms that cover 7 miles. Unbelievable. And it's getting stronger as it's moving to the south-southeast, or actually east-southeast. Again, northern Mississippi, northwestern Mississippi, moving to the east-southeast, moving through Arkansas, eastern Arkansas. Very strong line of thunderstorms right there. Headed towards Batesville right now. I don't see any tornado signatures, and hopefully we won't. But if we do, we're going to be on it the best that we can. If I were in Batesville, basement, interior room, as soon as possible, that's a very strong storm. Over 11 miles tall. 64,000 footer. Moving east-southeast towards Pope, Cortland, Sardis. And it's going to be headed a long ways. Look at that. Look at how far that storm system goes. Those are long. Very long. Several miles of intense thunderstorms moving through here. These storms have the potential to produce tornadoes. The atmospheric conditions are favorable for tornadoes. So just be ready. I'm not saying there's going to be one. Conditions are favorable for one, though. Large hail, I would say, is probably pretty certain through here. I mean, you get up into those heights, 56, especially 50, but 60,000 foot? I mean, that's crazy. That is very tall. And it's consistent through here. A long line, 7 miles of 60,000 foot storms. Moving right into Batesville. They're just up. Oh, it just refreshed again. This refreshes every 90 seconds, which is a good thing. It keeps us right on top of this. 64,000 foot right now. I mean, this is maxing out. It really can't go much higher than that. The software just doesn't recognize anything above like 64,000 feet. I mean, we're pushing the throttle here as high as it will go. These are very tall thunderstorms that have the potential to produce severe weather of many different kinds. High winds, large hail, flash flooding. Rain rates right in there are probably very high. 1 to 2 inches per hour, probably at an easy minimum. It's a very strong storms moving through Mississippi right now. Arkansas headed towards Alabama. This is where we're at right now. Holly Springs, east, southeast of Memphis. There's a line of storms moving through Tennessee again. Keeping a close eye on that as well, but we're watching this storm system here. It's got some very tall thunderstorms in it. The taller they are, the more powerful they can be. That's why when we see pinks on here, we pay attention to that, and the dark reds. Orange is a sign of heavy rain showers. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be severe. But when you see stuff like that, that's usually an indication, pretty good indication of severe weather. That's why we're watching it so closely here. I'm looking for tornado signatures. And you're starting to see a bow develop here. See this bow? I mean, that, and we're starting to see wrap around here. You see that coming up south to north. That could be a sign of rotation beginning associated with this thunderstorm. Doesn't necessarily look like it right now, but Batesville, I mean, that thing traveled 7 miles in like less than 5 minutes. Batesville is in like a washing machine right now. Just updated again. Yeah, this software is at the top of its scale. It can't go any higher because it's rare to see thunderstorms above 64,000 feet. Look at that. This area right here is probably seeing very large hail. I'm just watching for tornadoes right now, guys. And this line of severe weather is actually getting longer. It just refreshed. It's now down to Sumner, Webb, moving into Tutwiler, Lambert. It just went through Lambert, headed towards Crowder, Oakland. That would be Oakland, Mississippi. And the largest city in the path of this would be, that's where one of the radar stations is at. That's Columbus. That's in northeastern Mississippi. And that's where this weather is headed. And it's moving there at a pretty good pace. Probably 25 miles an hour. Cortland and Pope, Batesville, all right now in these very strong storms. Headed east towards Columbus, Mississippi. Here's where we're at right now. Huntsville, going to be severe weather there of some degree later on this afternoon. Hamilton, Birmingham will more than likely see some sort of rain, whether it be severe, quite possibly could be. Jackson, Mississippi definitely doesn't need any more rain, but we're going to check in there here in just a little bit. But that's where we are right now, guys, here in this Mississippi River Valley, Tennessee River Valley, watching these severe thunderstorms make their way through Mississippi into Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee. We're going to be checking in on Tennessee here in just a minute. I want to make sure there's nothing too severe headed towards Nashville. They don't need any more tornadoes. They could do without a tornado for the next 100 years. Big storms moving through the south. I think it's going to be a busy spring with regard to severe weather. We've been in this pattern for a while now. And I've seen a lot of rain, unseasonably warm conditions this year in the south. A lot of records set. With regard to heat, and guess what? It's going to get cold here in a couple of days. Temperatures could drop between 20 and 30 degrees coming up this week. From one day to the next. Let's say one daytime high is 75. The next day, the daytime high could be 45. And even colder. Chance of snow in the northern tier, in the northern states. My friend Craig from New Jersey showed me a daytime high of 78 degrees a couple of days ago. That's the second week of March. That's a summertime temperature. 78 degrees. And here in the next couple of days, it's probably going to be in the 40s. 25, 30-degree temperature swings. Boy, this is some wild weather in here. Headed towards Pope. Look at that. When you see that color on here, guys, that's a big deal. It really is. That is a strong thunderstorm. I'm going to check for tornadic activity. Hang on. That's why we're here. What you're looking for is sharp contrast. Green is in, red is out. And when you see a sharp contrast, like you do right there, it means there's air colliding, going in opposite directions. Opposite directions collide is going to create spin. It's like when you rub your hands together from left to right real quick. That's kind of what you're looking for here. I know it probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but if you've looked at it enough, you can recognize rotation when you see it on here. And luckily, I don't see any on here. That's a good thing. I'm surprised. Those are very strong storms. Headed towards central Mississippi, north central Mississippi. In fact, all of eastern Mississippi pretty much. Very strong line of thunderstorms. Just updated again. Still in the 60,000 foot range. All of that pink is just a staggeringly tall thunderstorm. You talk about a photogenic storm. Starting to develop a little bow. Actually a big bow. Stretches for over 10 miles now. We're keeping a very close eye on that. All of this orange you see is moderate rainfall, not necessarily extreme. There could be some in there. That's very dense. A lot of moisture. A lot of moisture in there. We're going to head up to Nashville real quick. I just want to check. Hang on, here we go. Nashville, Tennessee. Where's Nashville? Well, I know. Right in here. Nashville. Ah, there is a line of storms coming. Alright, we're going to focus some attention here for a minute. Not cool. We don't want tornadoes. Okay, so we've got rain. We can see got rain coming in. These storms are intensifying. Oh. Alright guys, if you're in the Nashville area, look for storms coming your way. Good grief. How far away are they? "35 miles. Ah. Okay, so here's Nashville here, and here's the line of thunderstorms here, and they're moving that way. You see what I mean? They definitely don't need any more thunderstorm activity. But it's coming, guys, so be ready. Within the next 40 minutes, storms moving into Waverly, Tennessee. This is a very strong cell right here that's going to be moving right towards Nashville if it stays together. Right now it's out in a rural area, which is great. And it's going to be in a rural area for quite some time. Looks like it's going to follow this highway, whatever that highway is right there. I'm not sure what the number of that highway is. It leads right into Nashville. It's going to follow that highway right into Nashville, basically. This has got a backwards bow signature to it, which is in itself a little odd. A little odd, I will say. See that? Strong winds behind the storm. It's a classic anvil. These are in the 40 to 50,000 foot range. So that's a very common type of a storm right there. I don't know what that is. Probably just some sort of a digital artifact associated with the radar. That's exactly what it is. Doppler's coming out of Nashville. That's what that line is. It's a simple digital artifact. But that line of storms is moving straight towards Nashville. If you have friends in Nashville, I'm sure they're well aware of the situation. Even looks like northern Tennessee, parts of southern Kentucky seeing some rain, but doesn't look like anything super severe right now. Area called Big Sandy, which is in Tennessee, getting some very heavy rain right now. Brewston, Camden, Waverly, headed into McEwen, Dixon, Kingston Springs. All of these areas are right in the line of this very strong, intense thunderstorm activity headed towards Nashville. Guys, we're going to keep an eye on this because it's got some sort of a bow signature to it. If you have friends in Nashville, and they're getting stronger, look. See that familiar color right there? They're intensifying. This daytime heating is causing these storms to reach up higher. All right, that's severe weather right there. And it's moving right towards Nashville. That's a strong storm, only getting stronger. We'll see if they put out any storm warnings associated with this storm system. Big heads up, Nashville. Yeah, these storms are going to go right over the tornado areas. In fact, moving into it now. Here's where we're at, guys. There's Nashville. Here's the line of thunderstorms moving due east, headed right towards Nashville. Be there very, very soon. Here's Nashville, line of thunderstorms. Let me show you something. This is like see this right here? I can do it. It's got like a weird backwards bow. And then the front down here, it's got a classic, it's developing that classic bow right there. See that? That's right. That right there is a classic thunderstorm. And these are starting to gain strength right in here especially. Right now it's in a rural area, but we're going to keep a close eye on these here. We're going to be watching for rotation as they're getting very close to Nashville. Probably be there within 30 minutes. Distance from this line. Yeah, we're right at 30 miles. The 60 sees the entire circumference of the circle. It's 30 miles away. I don't see any tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings, even though these have the capability of becoming very, very strong. They're getting taller and taller every second. And that's just adding to the strength of these storms and their potential. So big heads up if you're in Nashville, Brentwood, just the entire Nashville metropolitan and rural areas. A very strong line of thunderstorms moving your way, going to be there within 30 minutes. And I know that's the last thing they need is severe weather, but these definitely have the components, and hopefully they won't materialize, but the energy's there for sure. Look to be getting stronger. This one here is kind of odd. See the backwards bow? This here looks like a classic thunderstorm. Probably a nice big shelf cloud right there. Like you guys send me all the time. You're always sending me these spectacular shelf clouds from all around the world. Well, right there's an example of one of them you can see on radar. That would be a long shelf cloud. The backside, though, is what's unusual about this thing. See the bow? I don't know. It's just... I don't know. This looks weird. Big heads up, Nashville. Nashville, Tennessee. God bless Nashville. Big rain coming, guys. Pretty good sized storm. Got potential, so be ready. The alert system is on. just in case. Hopefully we won't need nothing. Hopefully you won't even need, well, you're going to need an umbrella. That I can pretty much assure you. But hopefully it won't be any worse than some heavy rain. That would be phenomenal. Just a little bit of rain. That's what, like I showed you the video earlier. Saw some heavy rain this morning. Here's the location we're at, guys. Sorry about that. Here's where we're at. West Central Tennessee, following a storm system moving towards Nashville. Don't see anything super severe yet, even though there is some strong thunderstorm activity. Wow, that is bizarre right there. What's going on with that? I'm just thinking out loud here. It's got a backwards bow. It's weird. Front's classical, you know, bow line of thunderstorms. That's probably a big shelf cloud right there. Some of these clouds are reaching 30, 40, in some cases 50,000 feet. They do seem to be gaining a little bit of strength as they're moving towards Nashville, getting larger. Be in Nashville in probably, well, less than 30 minutes now. Strong line of thunderstorms moving towards Nashville. All quiet there right now. Probably hardly a cloud in the sky, at least according to this. But if you look to the west, you can see a long line of thunderstorms heading towards the east, right at Nashville. So if you're in the Nashville area, just a big heads up, that's all. You guys have been through enough. You don't need any more severe storms, especially at night. At least during the day, you can kind of get yourself to a safe place. And you might consider it with this one. It's respectable. It's a respectable storm, no doubt about it. And I don't know what's going on up here. It's like a backwards bow. Just went through Big Sandy. Next time it updates, we'll see if these storms increase in height. They're in the 50,000 foot range now, which that's very capable of producing large hail, high winds. Look at that. That is such a weird signature. Huh. See how far we are from Nashville. It just updated. We'll just go from the front line here. Yeah, right at 30. Maybe a little less than 30 miles. Following this road here. Not sure what that highway is, but it's taking that highway right into town. Big heads up if you're in Nashville. Strong line of thunderstorms headed your way. All the way down into Mississippi, Alabama, up into parts of southern Kentucky. And all of these storms are moving east. So could impact a wide area today. I know they don't need any more rain in this area. I think there's been a perpetual flood or flash flood alert or something for up here in the Hopkinsville area, just north and west of Nashville, right up in here. And now they're getting more rain to compound the situation. Going to be a wet spring, I think. One thing I like about the rain that we've had out here, kind of washes some of the pollen away, you know. We've had already a big increase in the pollen. I think allergies and pollen and all that stuff are going to be quite heavy this year. Already are out here. So that rain, I like to see that. Clears the air out, especially if you live in a desert where it's dusty. Cleans things off. I like clean, you know what I mean? So bring it. I like the rain. But here in Nashville, we don't want any severe weather. Might get some rain. Could be heavy at times. Might get a little windy. Hopefully that's about it. And that's what we're keeping a very close eye on after what they went through here. We're looking out for you, Nashville. Storms moving in. I don't think they're going to last too terribly long. You can see it's a line of thunderstorms, probably no more than 10 miles wide. Linear, you know, they're several miles long, but they're moving pretty quick. Just making sure nothing severe erupts that surprises Nashville. No, we don't want that to happen. But these back here, I will say, are getting stronger. Absolutely 100%, they're getting stronger. Every time this refreshes, which is about every 90 seconds, these storms are getting more intense. The darker the color, with regard to like red, orange, that represents intensity. And this is where we are right now. We're in west central Tennessee. Line of storms moving towards Nashville. So if you're in Nashville, just take a look to the west. You can see what's coming, and then act accordingly. You know, if you feel like you need to head to an interior room or your basement, then that'd be a great thing to do until this passes. It doesn't look like it's super severe, but, you know, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Never know. So big heads up if you're in Nashville, Tennessee. Storms moving in. They're less than 30 miles away. Big line of storms. We're going to come back to that in just a minute. I'm going to let an update go through another cycle, and we'll check and see if there's any severe or any type of warnings or alerts for the Nashville area. All right, let's go down to, okay, it just updated. We're going to come back and check on that update here in just a moment. Strong storms here, moving south, southeast. Just went through Pope, headed towards Water Valley. These are more in rural areas right now, but headed towards Columbus, Mississippi. In fact, getting very close to Columbus. Holly Springs, getting some very heavy rain right now. And those are very heavy rainfall rates. Now we're down in northern Mississippi. And all of this energy is moving through Tennessee, Alabama. In fact, let's go over to Alabama since we're here. Maybe we can get the Huntsville area. All good right now, but you can see the storms coming in like they are up in Nashville. If you look to the west, you can see the storms moving towards you over in the east. So right now, all good in Huntsville. And now we're going back to Nashville, Tennessee. I just want to keep an eye on those storms until they get there and get past, because of what happened the other day. That was just not cool. We didn't like that at all. Okay. Nashville. About the same with regard to strength. Maybe a little more intense. Heavy rain, high winds. See how far away they are. We're about 25 miles now. There's Nashville. There's a line of storms. They're headed that way. Already starting to impact the rural areas of Nashville. But I don't see anything super severe in these storms, this big line of thunderstorms. Boy, that looks like a weird storm right there. That system's headed towards Cumberland City, Erin, Sladen, Van Leer, Charlotte, Ashland City. It's already on New Johnsonville right now. Camden just went through it, headed towards Waverly. Waverly's in some moderate rain right now. It's this storm system here that looks like it might stay south, which would be good. Stay south of Nashville. Hopefully it will. And it's going to go through Nashville. Hopefully it'll just be some moderate rain. And that'll be about it. And then it'll go on about its way and then head towards eastern Tennessee. Probably be active most of the day until the sun goes down. And sometimes when the sun goes down, the storms can kind of dissipate or weaken. but not always. The daytime heating definitely influences the storms. Like right now, it's approaching peak time, but it's no guarantee. We saw what happened when the tornadoes peaked during the overnight hours, so that's not necessarily always a guarantee. It depends on what's going on in the upper atmosphere with the warm and cold air. Like these here are pretty much warm air storms, but nevertheless, the higher up they get, they're reaching into those super cold airs, and that's what creates rotation, or it can. Probably 20 minutes away from Nashville. So far, so good. Don't see any rotation. See some moderate showers and maybe a thunderstorm here and there. But if you're in Nashville, you look to the west, you can see a wall of clouds moving your way. Just be ready in case these storms do intensify quickly. Sometimes they can rapidly intensify. But I don't see that happening here, but you just never know. I'm not the oracle of thunderstorms. I am very familiar with weather and storms, and especially hurricanes. Ever since I was in that hurricane in 2004, that was like a goal to understand hurricanes and what makes them tick. We'll take a look at another satellite here in a minute if you guys want to see the GOES or something like that. I have it. I always watch the GOES infrared. And we'll certainly check it out. I like to use this one, though, because I can get more specific. And if I'm paying attention to a specific area, which I am right now, Nashville, you know, I can get more data here. I can't get that much data off of there. I can tell where there's severe weather, but I can't get any specifics on location, you know, possible, you know, supercells. This just gives me a lot more information, that's all. So until this updates a couple more times, we're going to keep our eye on Nashville. Right now it looks like the severe weather is south of Nashville. It looks like it's going to possibly stay south. Getting ready to update here again soon, and then we'll look at the GOES satellite if you guys want to see it. The GOES is showing a much bigger system. It's not giving me the details like we've got here. It's also showing the severe weather, not necessarily severe, it's moderate that we're seeing out here in Arizona. No severe, just some pockets of heavy rain. And that's more than likely what's going on here. Just pockets of heavy rain, maybe a little bit of wind. But in this area here, different story. That's a concentrated area of high winds and possibly a little bit of hail. But right now, nothing super extreme, at least according to this. But it's getting close. Probably 20 minutes or less away from Nashville. And this is where we're at, guys. We're in western Tennessee, east of the Mississippi River. There's all kinds of weather activity here in eastern Arkansas, north Mississippi, and northern Alabama. It's starting to pick up in northern Alabama. These storms have the potential to produce tornadoes, large hail, And of course, high winds and the rain is a given. We're seeing rain for sure. Just depends on how much. This system here, believe it or not, it's getting more organized as a collective, as a whole. It's getting a little more organized. I don't see anything severe though. What little that is severe in here is south of Nashville. And we're going to try to keep it that way. We're going to think positive. We don't want any more severe weather in Nashville. But that's why we're watching. You guys wanting to see ISWA, huh? Space weather. Right now I'm looking at Earth weather. We'll get to space weather and the magnetosphere and the magnetopause and all of that. We check in on it. It honestly should be pretty quiet. If there is something influencing it, we'll have to check it out and see. The Schumann resonance this morning was in good parameters. I didn't see anything on the Schumann today at all. Very, very little. I see that all the time. That's nothing new. All right, guys, getting closer to Nashville, 15 minutes away. Storm still staying together. It's still organized. But the good part about it, it's not getting any stronger, or I don't see anything really crazy in here, you know. Not anything they can't handle. A little bit of moderate rain. You know, that's great. I don't see anything in here that's off the hook. I really don't. It's a rainy day for a while, and it's not going to last that long. Less than 30 minutes. And it's going to continue on east for the remainder of the day. Moving along at about 25 miles an hour. Maybe quicker. This one might be 30. Not getting any stronger. There is a little pocket back here that's gaining intensity. Not headed towards Nashville, though. That's a good thing. Staying very rural. This is where we're at. East of the Mississippi, western Tennessee. Following a storm that's getting very close to Nashville. You can see it just updated again. We're less than probably 20 miles. Let's take a look. Right at 23. There's Nashville. There's the storm. Headed that direction. That's intensifying a little. Headed towards Thompson Station. You guys familiar with Thompson Station? This area down here did intensify some right there. Gaining a little height, gaining a little strength. But right now, that's all south of Nashville. We're getting very close to Nashville. Shouldn't see any more than just moderate rain, maybe a little wind. Probably a quarter-inch of rain at the pace this is moving. That's about all you should see. Hopefully that's all that will occur. I don't see anything up in here. In fact, that area right there that's headed towards Nashville and the Nashville metro area is actually weakening. And it looks like the energy is moving south. See down here how it's getting brighter red? And they just put this long pathway out in front of that storm there. So that's south of Nashville. We'll see what it looks like when it updates again. And then we'll hop back down to Mississippi, where it's really starting to get active. Don't see any tornado warnings yet, but that don't mean there won't be some later on here in the afternoon. Definitely a possibility, that's for sure. And this is right where they were predicting this severe weather, or at least the possibility for severe weather, Forecasts can and will change. They always do. You just never know to what degree. Is it going to be less or is it going to be more? Or is it going to stay exactly the same that was predicted? Sometimes it does. But it's weather. It's going to be unpredictable. That's a little stronger right there. That definitely has increased. There's a storm system here that's increased. Headed towards Cedar Hill, Springfield, Tennessee, Coopertown. Getting very close to Nashville. If you have friends in Nashville, just let them know, just to be alert. Doesn't look like a severe storm, but you just never know. Never know. It looks like it's going to stay south of Nashville, which is great. I'll come back here in just a second. Mississippi, here we come. We're going to northern Mississippi real quick. See, that's starting to bear down on Columbus. Wherever you see all that clutter, that's a radar station, and that's normally near a large city or a larger city. And you can see that's near Columbus, and that storm is definitely intensifying. That is huge. Look at that. Oh my. No tornado warnings that I can see, which is great. Wow, that's a big storm. That's gotten big just in the last 20 minutes. Look at that. Oh, wow. Okay, that storm's moving southeast, headed towards Russellville, Jasper. Obviously, Birmingham's in the path of that storm. Tuscaloosa. And that area is known for tornadoes, so they're always prepared for tornadoes. They are experts. They have dealt with tornadoes for years in that area. So this storm system here, I mean, it definitely has potential. I don't see any tornado warnings at the moment, but that is a strong storm. That is huge. Okay, going back to Nashville real quick, guys. I definitely want to watch Nashville and make sure that we're not missing anything. Maybe I'll try this radar. Is it different? Okay, this is southern Nashville. No, we want this one. There we go. Yeah, it's just minutes away. Good thing about it, this part of the storm is weakening. The southern part of the storm is maintaining, getting a little stronger in areas, but overall it's getting smaller as a whole, as a collective. And you can see the area that's headed towards Nashville. You guys shouldn't see anything more than just a little bit of rain. That is excellent. Yay, good job. Down here is a different story. If you're in Lawrenceburg, Collinwood, Loretto, St. Joseph, Cornersville. Is that what that says? Cornersville? Cornersville. All right. Mount Pleasant. These areas here can see some severe weather. That's starting to develop a bow here. So it looks like all of the energy in the northern part of the storm condensed down into the southern part of the storm. So it looks like the severe part, or at least most of the severe component, is going to be south of Nashville. Still not an all clear yet because you've got a long line of thunderstorms moving through the area. But it looks like for the most part, though, it is starting to tone down some to the north. I don't know what we got going on here. It's not a real tall storm, but extends up into Kentucky. But this area down here, Collinwood, right now, getting some heavy rain, possibly some hail. We're going to go back down to Mississippi here in just a minute. That's where there's a lot of action right now, but we're not going to take our eye off Nashville for just a minute. Want to make sure there's nothing coming their way. And it doesn't look like there is, at least of a severe nature. It looks fine. A little bit of rain. In fact, it may be just a few sprinkles by the time it gets there, which that'd be great. But the energy does seem to be moving south. See right down here? It's getting kind of, I don't know, it's getting taller is what it's doing along the front edge of the storm. The leading edge of the storm is rising up. That's where it gets that big anvil shape. Sometimes it develops a shelf cloud. You guys have taken pictures of some incredible shelf clouds, roll clouds, associated with the front edge of thunderstorms. And that's probably a classic right there, but don't go out and take pictures of it. We're keeping an eye on Nashville now. And it's looking pretty decent. These storms are weakening right there that's headed into Nashville. How about that? Going to the north, if that does materialize into anything right there, which it could, and they're staying primarily to the south, they're going to get some rain, yes, of course, but probably not too much. So far, so good. But you can definitely see south of Nashville intensifying, and things are really intensifying in Mississippi. We're going to go back to Mississippi here in just a minute. Just want to make sure Nashville's good to go. And right now, it looks like they are. You've got energy moving south of Nashville and north of Nashville. So that's a good thing. You guys might see a little bit of rain. Nothing you can't handle. I don't see any echoes. I don't see any bows. I don't see any rotation. I just see a line of thunderstorms. And we've all experienced that. So shouldn't be anything you haven't seen before. So looking good. We're going to come back to there in just a moment. That just updated too, by the way. And they're shrinking even more. Aaron, Sladen, Van Leer, Ashland City. Still going to see some rain, but I don't think the severe component's there anymore. That's great. All right, Mississippi. Here we come. Columbus. We're going to come back to Nashville in just a second. Wowza. That is huge. Look at that. Okay, we're in northern Mississippi now. In fact, all of northern Mississippi is engulfed in thunderstorms. Pretty much from county line to, or state line to state line. Look at that. That is enormous. A lot of heavy rain in there. They don't need heavy rain right now. It's all moving east, southeast. Rather quickly. It's difficult to tell. Probably 25, 30 mile an hour. Headed towards Caledonia, Columbus, West Point, Aberdeen, Houston. I didn't know we had a Houston, Mississippi. Okay, I just learned something. We got a Houston, Mississippi. Houston, it's about to get real wet. And guess where it's raining now? In Water Valley. Water Valley, a lot of rain right now. It's raining hard right there. All of this orange and red's very heavy rain for the most part. It's moving pretty quick though. The yellow is moderate rainfall. You can see it's covering a wide area. A lot of rain coming down there. Don't know the exact rainfall rates, but coming down at a pretty steady pace. At least an inch an hour, if not more, and that's covering a wide area. So they're going to see an inch of rain, 2 inches of rain quite easily in most of these areas here. And some of this stuff's going to drain into an already overcrowded Pearl River. So this is something that they really don't need. Potts Camp, Hickory Flat, Blue Mountain, Ripley, Faulkner, Walnut, Middleton, Eastview, Corinth, Jumpertown, Boonville, Baldwin, all of these areas, Blue Springs. Severe weather the leading edge of this very large thunderstorm coming your way. Coffeyville in the middle of some very heavy rain right now. Glendora just went through some heavy rain. Now they're on the back side. And honestly, it doesn't look like there's any super big winds on the backside of that storm. You can tell if there is by a very sharp contrast. If there's nothing at all behind these storms, you know, we're right here, you can see a gradual drop off into the black area where it's clear. When it's very sharp, when there's a very sharp contrast, that's an indication that there's a very sharp downdraft. And I don't see a downdraft there. Now, the leading edge of this storm, I'm sure, is very photogenic because you see a sharp contrast between the leading edge of the thunderstorm and blue skies. But that is a huge system making its way through all of northern Mississippi, headed into northern Alabama. North Alabama, Thaxton right now. That would be Thaxton, Mississippi. Big tall storms moving through there, 50,000 footers. They have the capability, if the moisture content is right, to produce large hail. Golf ball size, at least quarter size. Probably some high winds associated in there. And this is so thick that it's difficult to see any rotation. That's the tough part about observing storms like this. It's so widespread and dense that it's difficult to see sharp contrasts that show you rotation. I mean, I can see height quite easily, but here we can go to the correlation. We'll go to the coefficient right here. And even that, right there, you can kind of see maybe. That almost looks like debris. Where's that at? Huh. That would be west of Holly Springs, but again, it's so densely packed in here that it's difficult to really tell. This would be an area, I'm not saying that there is because it doesn't look like it, but these are the types of storms that tornadoes get rain wrapped. You guys have heard of that? They're wrapped in rain and they're very difficult to detect. Even on the ground, when you're looking at the storm, you don't see it. In some cases, it's happened before, and it's equally as hard observing radar and reflectivity. It's equally as difficult looking for that sharp contrast where you're looking for rotation. And that's why I've been keeping an eye on Nashville. We're going to go back up there here in a minute, but this is a very large storm complex that's moving through northern Mississippi, east-southeast, headed into Alabama. Right now, it's going towards Columbus. Looks like it's got Birmingham in its sights right now, moving through northern Alabama. Huntsville, probably in the next 30 to 40 minutes, will be in some sort of weather conditions, whether it be severe or moderate, yet to be determined. Some of these storms are gaining strength as they move from west to east. Some of them are losing strength. So it's kind of like they're recycling. Some come back stronger, some come back weaker. But overall, this whole complex has grown. It's gotten bigger just in the last 30 minutes. Going back to Nashville. Hang tight. We're coming, Nashville. Here we come. All right. Look at that. So that storm system has almost separated in two. So it may go north of Nashville and it may go south of Nashville. How about that? Now that's what we're talking about. Look at that. See there? In fact, that entire system has lost probably 50% of its energy. That's just a moderate storm right there. I wouldn't even call it a storm. That's just moderate rain. Good deal. Like I said, those people don't need a tornado for another 100 years. All right, guys, I'm back. I'm just trying to finish up my lunch. Really, I'm eating a pineapple. Trying to. Okay, I'm done. Probably my favorite food, pineapple. I mean, it's hard to beat a fresh cut pineapple. Not out of a can. You get a whole pineapple at the store like SpongeBob's house. Cut it up into squares. Wow, you just can't hardly beat that. And that's what I just had for lunch. So it looks like the severe component is going to miss Nashville. At least that's what we're seeing right now. And that's fantastic. We're going to come back to Nashville here in just a minute. We're going to swing over to Alabama. We're going to the Huntsville area. Boy, there's a lot of... See what you see over here on the right above Huntsville? It's what you call ground clutter. And that's not storms. It's just clutter. And it's just a... I don't know what you want to call it. There's another word for it. It's like interference. Not necessarily interference, but it's like that on every radar that's around a very densely populated area. But you got storms moving in. Right now they look moderate. Don't see anything severe right now. It's a good thing. We don't like severe weather, but we do like to keep an eye on it if we're up and about. Mississippi, coming back. This is where the action's at right now. All of this weather is going to be moving into Alabama here in just a few minutes. And we have not forgot about Arkansas. We're going back there right now. Storms are exiting Arkansas right now as I speak. Looking at the Fort Smith area. Looks good. Fort Smith is over in the northwestern part of Arkansas. It's in the southeastern part of Arkansas where it's clearing out pretty good. So it might be quiet for a while. All of that energy is moving into Mississippi right now as we speak. And the storms are very strong. Showing, at least they're appearing to be on radar. I mean, that there is covering a wide area. I don't see any tornado warnings, but again, when it's this thick, it's difficult for me to see any type of, rotation in here. Those are very dense storms. There's a lot of moisture in there. There's a lot of vertical integrated liquid water content. Of course, it's very humid in the south, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. They're no strangers to humidity, and there is an abundance of humidity in here. Good grief. Look at all that. But the good thing about it, I don't see anything that's up over 50,000 feet. Maybe one little bitty pocket right there. But other than that, just moderate to heavy rain. But that's a big thunderstorm. Hamilton looks like it's headed, or at least a severe component is headed towards Hamilton, Verona, Tupelo. I mentioned Houston earlier. I did not know we had a Houston, Mississippi. Our Amory, Aberdeen, right on the leading edge of this thunderstorm. And those are very photogenic clouds, I can assure you that. Those are very photogenic. That's a line of shelf clouds right there. Where else is it headed into? Sherman, Blue Springs. They're right in the middle of the activity right now. Just keeping a close eye on this because this does have the potential to produce tornadoes, large hail, and severe thunderstorms. Definitely has the potential. Whether it will or not, you just never know. But it's got the mechanics to do it if it wants to. I don't see any type of rotation, even on the leading edge. I don't see any big downdrafts on the backside. It's just a big pocket of thunderstorms. Warm air meets cold air. And they duke it out. Coffeyville, Oakland, Charleston, Water Valley, still getting heavy rain. Thaxton, Sherman, Blue Springs, Baldwin, Marietta, Boonville, Jumpertown, this whole area through here, all of northern Mississippi, for the most part, seeing some very heavy rain. And the leading edge does have a severe component. Several, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 areas of strong storms. And those storms could become stronger and produce tornadoes. That's why we're trying to keep an eye on these. But there is a long line of storms here that extend out quite a ways. In a 100-mile radius, 50 miles in both directions. That area right there, and down here as well, this whole area here, very strong storms. Headed to the east-southeast. Right now as I do this video, and this is going to continue for a while, this is a strong system. It's not going to dissipate like the one up in Tennessee did. And speaking of Tennessee, I just want to check on it real quick. I think they're good to go, though. They're going to see some storms south of Nashville, but as far as directly impacting the Nashville area, look at that, how they're separating right there. Nashville's right here. Right there, there's Nashville. Hopefully Nashville will go right in that little slot right there. Might see a little bit of rain, but it could entirely miss Nashville altogether. That's great. We didn't want Nashville to get any severe weather. They don't want it and they don't need it. Not today. So that's good. Now, south of Nashville is a little different story, but nothing super major. Nothing they haven't seen before. Lexington, though, down here? Is that in Nashville? Is that in Tennessee? No, that's in far northern Alabama or deep southern Tennessee. It's a very strong storm right there. St. Joseph's, Loretto, Collinwood, Waynesboro. Those are some pretty strong storms. They're respectable, but look at Nashville. Check this out. See that little doorway that opened right there? Well, we're hoping that Nashville is going to fit right in that empty spot right there where there's nothing happening at all. Looking pretty good. The storm has weakened exponentially. It's very, very, compared to what it was, it's considerably less. That's very mild right now in the Nashville area. That is awesome. Now, will it stay like that all day? I have to wait and see, but at least this round has kind of fizzled out. And that's good. That's really good. This area here is going south of Nashville. Well south of Nashville. Pretty much in a entirely rural area. Doesn't mean there's not people out there, though. There's definitely people out there. But I don't see anything on the super severe side. Just average rain, moderate rain. Looking pretty good. So we want Nashville, again, to go right in that spot right there. That's what we want. And that would be the ideal situation with regard to that storm. So, good deal. Looking good right now, Nashville. Hopefully, it will stay that way. We're going to hop back down to Mississippi here real quick. Storms that are headed towards Alabama, packing a punch. And there are no strangers to tornadoes down there. They've seen definitely their fair share over the years. Right now we're going into northern Mississippi in the Columbus. This is a Columbus radar. And those storms are showing no signs of weakening whatsoever. Not at all. Nashville, definitely those storms have weakened 80%. These are pretty much the same. And they are approaching. Look at that, how they're overtaking the city right now. See the base reflectivity? It's being overwhelmed now with all of the storm clouds and the moisture. Yeah, that's a strong storm. A lot of rain there. Probably a good inch or two at least. And a lot of that water will more than likely head to the Pearl River. If I'm not mistaken, and the Pearl River has no vacancy. So the water is just going to go up. More than likely out of its banks. It's going to flood. To what degree? We'll have to wait and see how much more rain comes. I mean, we could see 2 inches out here in the desert. But the nice thing about it is, it's coming over the course of 3 or 4 days. So, you know, that's usually not problematic. Right here, you're looking at 2 inches in maybe 2 hours. So if you're looking at an area that's got saturated soil and the rivers are full, the water has nowhere to go. Sometimes into communities, into towns, into streets. The natural drainage systems can't handle it. They get overwhelmed. The man-made drainage systems get overwhelmed, and then the water piles up in the streets, in towns, and then you've got suburban flooding. Hopefully that won't be the case, but there's a lot of rain coming down here, and it's going to for a while. It's moving to the east-southeast at about 25 miles per hour, somewhere in that ballpark. Approaching Columbus right now. Detroit, I just learned that. So we have a Detroit, Mississippi. All right. So we got Detroit, Mississippi, and Houston, Mississippi. There's Houston right there, see? Both sitting at the leading edge of this very large thunderstorm. Detroit and Houston. And I'm talking about Mississippi. All right. Right in the line of all this very heavy rain. Pockets of it are very, very heavy. The tallest storms in here are probably in the neighborhood, well, no, probably about it. I've already measured them. They're in the 44, let's see here. I think I saw a 50. Yeah, right there. 50,000 foot. Those could go up to 60. They could get stronger. But as we move closer into the evening hours and that daytime heating kind of dissipates, then the storms generally, not always, there's a lot of factors to consider, but sometimes it does take away some of the strengthening component, but not always, by no means. If you've got a lot of very warm air colliding with very cold air, and it necessarily isn't a big-time influencer, it can happen at night, you know. But definitely during the day, daytime heating influences the storms, yes. Is it influencing these? I would say so, yes. This storm system here is starting to show signs of strengthening. Yes, it's moving into Columbus, Detroit, and that's not Detroit, Michigan. That is Detroit, Mississippi. Right now, it's moving into Houston. That's not Houston, Texas. That's Houston, Mississippi, right there. Starting to rain there. Moderate rain. Might last a little while. Might last an hour. Might last a couple hours. That's a healthy thunderstorm. Moving east-southeast into Alabama. More than likely into parts of Georgia, where there's just no vacancy. They don't have anywhere to put any more water. They are at maximum capacity. And it's raining again. So the rivers and the creeks, the reservoirs, ponds, lakes, they're going to fill up even fuller to where they overflow in some areas. Not everywhere. But I know the Pearl River is already packed. So here you go. Here's more for the Pearl River. And actually a lot more. So headed towards Russellville, Muscle Shoals. Right there, Muscle Shoals. Storms moving in right now as we do this video. Starting to rain. Starting to rain. Not anything severe though. headed towards Lawrenceburg, Loretto, Lexington. Is that Alabama or is that Tennessee? Looks like it's Alabama. Far northern Alabama. Muscle Shoals is in Alabama. So the severe component doesn't seem to be super obvious. But again, when the radar, the reflectivity is this densely concentrated, it's difficult to tell. So just be ready, just in case. You guys are no strangers to severe weather. You know what to do. You know what time it is. You're experts. But it doesn't help to have, somebody else keeping a close eye on it too. It's all about teamwork. But you guys are experts in here with regard to tornadoes. You know where your interior rooms are with no glass, and you know where your basements are. So when there's severe weather in the area, you guys are ready. I'm just keeping a close eye on it to see what type and where. Right now, they're staying pretty much in check, reaching up to 52, 51,000. There might be some hail on the leading edge of this storm. Maybe at the, 10-mile boundary line. That's interior. But the rest of it looks like just a good steady rain. Heavy at times. Downpours. We probably saw half an inch of rain at one time, around 5 o'clock this morning. Somewhere around in there at our place, probably about a half. When the water puddles like it was, like I showed you in that video. Because out here, the ground does not absorb rain at all. So it piles up, really quick. So we probably saw half an inch of rain. That is a large thunderstorm complex. Moving into the Columbus area. Right now it's over Thaxton, Oxford, Taylor, Water Valley is kind of out of the severe component right now. But there's more heavy rain behind the severe component, even though it wasn't that big. There was some high winds in there, very heavy rainfall. Rainfall rates in here probably at a inch an hour clip, maybe a little bit more. Jumpertown, Boonville, Tishomingo, hope I got that right. Glen, Farmington, Corinth, Waterloo. About to get some more rain in Waterloo. Underwood, Petersville, Iron City, starting to get wet there. And again, where we're at right now, we're splitting the line between Alabama and Mississippi. That's right where this storm is at, right on the state line, actually extending more over into northern Mississippi, but moving into North Alabama. And it's right here on the state line, right there. See it? The component that was up in Nashville has dissipated. Looks like Nashville is in the clear, which is wonderful. I'm going to go look at it real quick, and then we're going to come back down to Alabama and Mississippi, where this is headed. Let's look at Nashville real quick. So Nashville, moving into that slot right there, where there's just sprinkles. That's great. Right in here. That's good. Hardly any rain at all. A little bit, but no severe component. Excellent. They don't need any severe weather. Good grief. I mean, nobody really needs severe weather. We need rain, though. Got to have rain. I like it when it rains out here. You bet. Keeps that dust down, that pollen, especially in the spring. Washes the cars, the trees, the roads, the buildings. Washes everything off. Cleans out the air. And it keeps the dust down. If it would only rain before the wind that creates these giant dust storms out here, and in any desert as far as that goes. Like on the western coast of Africa, that giant dust plume that we see every spring now, that is transatlantic, that makes its way all the way over into the Gulf of Mexico. If it would rain, which I know it won't, but if it would, in the Western Sahara, we wouldn't see that dust. These storms are getting stronger in intensity in some areas. Yeah, you guys are probably going to see some flooding in central Mississippi this spring. I would say that's a given. The ground is just completely waterlogged. We've been in this rain pattern for weeks, and it doesn't look like it's going to change. Maybe a little bit. Could become severe. That's the bad thing. Instead of just rain, you might see some severe weather. But you guys are used to that. You're pros. You know what time it is. Just always be ready, especially during the day. At night, well, there's not much anybody can do when you're asleep. But if you think there's tornadoes coming at night, then sleep in a safe area in your home. If you have conditions in your basement to where you can sleep, by all means do it. Absolutely. Because this weather, it can be tricky sometimes, Got a lot of very sophisticated equipment and good people on the job, but it's just impossible to say, oh, there's going to be a tornado at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at such and such coordinates. It just doesn't work that way. But the storm system here is remaining very large, covering all of northern Mississippi and now moving into northern Alabama, maintaining its strength. And you can see the leading edge of this storm actually getting stronger. I'm seeing an updraft now. So these storms through here are going to get taller, which means that's going to increase the odds of hail and quite possibly large hail through this area right here. In fact, it's already doing it. See this area right here? I'm seeing an updraft. Updraft's going to change the color. The color is going to represent 60,000 foot storms. And that's what that's showing me. Watch. See right here? 58. 60 right there. That's a 60,000 foot cell. So if it's pulling moisture 11 miles up into the atmosphere as a liquid, more than likely it's going to come back down as a solid piece of ice, which we call hail. That's moving towards Russellville, Littleville. Where else? That's awesome. Everything's pretty rural out here. So if we have tornadoes and they're in rural areas, that's great. You couldn't ask for a better place to have a tornado, as long as there's no homes out there, of course. But tornadoes in densely populated areas are not cool. Yeah, these are getting taller. They're getting stronger. I'm seeing an updraft. Do you see it? The leading edge of this storm, do you see it kind of like push up as a collective? There's a boundary there. And that boundary is pushing the air up, the leading edge of that storm up. See how it's gotten, the whole line has shrunk. It's not as wide as it was. The storm is running into a boundary there, and it's going to push the leading edge of this storm higher. That's all. Could create rotation. Whenever that movement like that is, there's a sharp contrast in that movement down and up, then that could create spin. That's all. It's something you got to be ready for when there's severe storms in the area. It can happen anytime, anywhere. We've actually had them out here in Arizona. Tornadoes. They're rare, but they've happened. I personally have never seen one, no. But I've seen the rotating clouds before, yes. They never came down to the ground, though. But that was back when we had regular monsoons every year. We haven't had monsoon, severe thunderstorms out here for quite some time. I think this year, though, is going to be different. I think it's going to be a busy monsoon season out here in Arizona. I really do. Severe storms here moving through Coffeyville, Oakland, Water Valley. They're just in some light to moderate rain right now. That's actually on the moderate to heavy side. The orange is moderate to heavy. Yellow is moderate to light. The reds are heavy. It's just heavy rain. And sometimes hail. But these storms are starting to move now more towards Alabama. Don't see any sharp contrast. Well, there's a little bit back here. That's a downdraft behind this whole system. No super severe weather, though, at the moment. Maybe headed towards Russellville right now. And that would be Russellville, Alabama. Right close to the Mississippi-Alabama state line. Area called Red Bay. Seeing some pretty significant storms right now. Belmont. And those areas, if I'm not mistaken, are... Boy, they're right on that state line. I can't tell because of the storm. I want to say Alabama. But it's difficult to tell. I can't see the state lines. It's too thick. Maybe it's right on the line. I'm not really sure. Saltillo, Tupelo, Plantersville, all of these areas through here. Boonville, Jumpertown, Dumas, Blue Springs. Heavy rains. Severe component right in here. Tishomingo. Hope I got that right. Golden and Belmont. Russellville, maybe just slightly north of Russellville. Some tall storms headed your way. But overall, right now, it looks like it's kind of condensing, possibly getting stronger along this leading edge. Probably a big, long shelf cloud. If you could see it all at one time, it extends too far, though. You can't. But there's a very long shelf cloud right there, extending between Mississippi and Alabama. But nothing super severe. I'm not seeing anything up in that 60,000 foot range. Maybe one little area that has the potential to do, bring some high winds and possibly large hail. Could do some severe activity, do some severe damage, just in a very small area. But doesn't look like it's going to amount much. In fact, it's already recycled off the map. It's not going to do anything. That's great. So it's not lasting. That one right there anyway. But some of these other ones are recycling into stronger storms, which is what they normally do. When they stay together for a very long time, those are the ones you got to watch really, really close. But these here are they're just cycling and recycling and moving to the southeast, about 25 miles per hour. And overall, the aesthetics of this storm have shrunk by probably 50%. You can see it's running into a boundary here. You see that? It's like a warm air boundary or something here. I don't know. But the overall size of the entire storm as a whole has gotten smaller. So yeah, we'll take that. Kentucky, seeing a little bit of rain. We'll go up and take a peek at Kentucky here real quick right now. That storm system is still holding its own, but it's aesthetically getting a little bit smaller. Let's go check out Kentucky real quick. There were some storms from Tennessee moving up into Kentucky. That's just basically ground clutter right there. That's not Kentucky. This is Kentucky. Let's go to the Fort Campbell area, right in here. What's going on there? Yeah. Okay, Kentucky. Here's where we're at. We're near Paducah, western Kentucky, east of the Mississippi. I'm not sure what that's doing. It looks like it's rolling through the atmosphere. Doesn't look like it's a severe storm. Huh. That's moving southeast, 20 miles an hour. That is just weird. Looks like it's rolling through the atmosphere. Huh. That might be one to watch. Not very tall, 30,000 foot range. Not very dense. But it is, nevertheless, a storm complex. We're in western Kentucky right now. Right in here. That's a weird looking system. Looks like it's, do you see it? You see how it looks like it's rolling through the sky? Look. You can't make this stuff up. Look. It's rolling. Okay. Roll it is. It's rolling through the atmosphere. Doesn't seem to be hurting anybody, so it can do what it wants, I suppose. That's just odd. I don't normally see that, especially on the super res. Huh. Okay. Headed into Eddyville, Princeton, Dawson Springs. Looks like just some mild to moderate rain. And possibly some wind associated with that, I would say. Based off of that behavior. Yeah. That's interesting. I don't normally see the atmosphere behave like that, but southern Missouri saw some activity during the overnight hours. Got some activity moving into central Kentucky. We'll see if we can find it here. That is an unusual, it's just weird. Let's go to Louisville. How about Louisville? Not too much happening in Louisville. We were just in Paducah, or in the Paducah area. And there's that storm that just went through Paducah. Metropolis kind of looks like it's doing a somersault through the atmosphere, through the sky there. Unless we're just interpreting that all wrong. There's Cincinnati. A lot of ground clutter. That's base reflectivity. So really not too much going on there, so to speak. Going to the Fort Campbell area, and there's that storm once again. It hasn't got any type of severe component to it. Just a little bit of wind and maybe a little bit of rain, but nothing severe that I can see. Let's go back down to, I'm going to take you to Arizona here real quick. We're going to go to northern Arizona. We'll go to this area here. See, we got storms moving throughout here. And these have more of a, not necessarily severe, but that's heavy rain right there just north of Snowflake. And if it were a little bit colder, that would be snow. But right now, temperatures are warm enough to where that's coming down as rain. Now, if you go over to Flagstaff, up near at the San Francisco peaks, where it's around 10,000 feet, any moisture there will be in the form of snow. But this over here is not cold enough right now. Normally, it would be cold enough for snow. That would be several inches of snow that you're looking at potentially, but not today. Looking at Atlanta, the storms are moving that direction. In fact, there's one small storm system moving through the West Atlanta metro area. Look at that, all by itself. Went through Villa Rica, headed towards Douglasville. And then there's one over here by Duluth. I've gotten pictures from Duluth, northeast Georgia. Wendy sent in spectacular supermoon video from northeast Georgia. Look at that, one little bitty storm. About a mile wide, if that. That is weird. Okay. Back to Mississippi. You know what? Real quick, since we're here. That's ground clutter. I was seeing if there was any snow up there. I think it's supposed to snow. I mean, in the coming days, we're supposed to get a lot of snow. Possibly in Nebraska. I think Nebraska could see a foot of snow, possibly 9-10 inches in the coming week to 10 days. Temperatures are supposed to cool off. Might get some snow. Nebraska, Kansas, the Dakotas, parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. Might see some snow coming up. Storm system looking about the same. I've just been keeping my eye open for a severe component. So I know these definitely have the potential. Atmospheric conditions are favorable for severe component here and there, but don't see anything right now. Houston's getting a lot of rain. And that would be Houston, Mississippi. Now up north of Tupelo, see, that's gaining some strength right there. But it's out in a rural area, so that's good. But the only thing about it is the ground is so wet here. There's no place for all this water to go but up. Might see some flash flooding a little bit here and there. Maybe quite a bit. I don't know. I do know that the Pearl River is full, or at near maximum capacity. And it's going to be a more than likely a wet spring. We're in a unique weather pattern here that's not going to change much. More rain this week after week after week in the same general areas. I mean, we're going to see rain out here in the desert Southwest all week. I mean, that's unheard of. So we're in a wet pattern, you know, in the lower part of the 48. Just a overall wet pattern. I mean, 1, 2, 3 inches of rain in the Los Angeles, California area today. In fact, we can go there real quick and just take a peek. I don't know what the radar even looks like. I haven't been there. Let's check it out. Storms moving through San Buenaventura, north of Oxford, Oakview. Not much right now, but a few storms here and there. I know they had some earlier, but right now it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. This here's a different story. A lot of moisture content here, but I don't see a major supercell component. The beginnings, you see some here and there where they're reaching those just towering heights of 60,000 foot. That's over 11 miles tall. I mean, those storms are capable of doing about anything. So you want to keep your eye on those really quick. Like this one here. You know, it's showing signs of reaching up there. 60K, and that's north of Russellville. Between Russellville and Littleville, and that would be in northwestern Alabama. And all of those storms are moving east, pretty much due east, towards the Huntsville area. Take a look and see how far they are from Huntsville. Probably not that far. Half of 47 is 23 and a half, so it's 23 miles from Huntsville, moving pretty quick. I think these are around a 30 mile an hour. But anyway, the leading edge of these storms will probably be there in less than an hour. And then the center part, heavy rain later on, next hour, hour and a half. Moving into Georgia later on this evening, Chattanooga, Tennessee, into eastern Tennessee or the southeastern part of Tennessee. Might see a little bit of activity. See some rain tonight in Kentucky. But I don't think anything super severe. At least not yet. I know the chances are there. The atmosphere, the lifted index and all that stuff is... It's all the numbers are there. Everything's numbers, you know. The cape, the lift, the wind speeds and all that. Everything's there for the possibility of severe weather. Now, whether it happens or not, you just never know. But it has the capability to do it if it wants to. Good to see that severe weather miss Tennessee or Nashville. I was hoping it would. Red Bay, Hodges, Vina, Tremont, Fulton. A lot of heavy rain through here. Oh, here we're getting some activity over here north of Birmingham. Strong storms moving through Mount Olive, Gardendale, Fultondale, headed towards Center Point. And these just popped up. Those are fairly new. That's a strong little system right there. So this is the type of activity you're going to be seeing off and on all afternoon. And it's just mid-afternoon here, so these storms have a long way to go. And some of them are starting to get kind of tall, like right in here. That's a real tall storm. Not very big, albeit, but still, it's a big storm. And that tells you that the energy's here for the rest of these to produce very tall storms. Like this cluster here, looks like it could grow into something bigger as it moves east. This entire area here, north of Birmingham. And that's due west of Atlanta. Let's see about how far. Half of that's 71 miles. So not that far away, a couple of hours. We'll see what that develops into. That could develop into something much bigger, but that just came on the scene here recently. That was not there 25, 30 minutes ago. So you've got some energy coming off of this larger system that's forming its own group of smaller storms right now that will more than likely turn into larger storms. South of Warrior, right into Morris, south of Smoke Rise, and due north of Birmingham, Alabama. It's like about 5-10 miles north of Birmingham. But those have the potential of becoming much larger storms, like this one here. And it's holding on. I mean, it's maintaining its size to some degree. It has gotten a little bit smaller aesthetically, but it's still got about the same amount of moisture and wind speed and overall height. These aren't super tall storms. They're not supercells. And they don't seem to have a tornado component right at this moment. Strong storm going through Bruce right now. I believe that is in Mississippi. Houston, Mississippi, seeing a lot of rain. And it's going to be like that for quite a while. This whole area here is going to be soaked. A lot of rain. And it's all moving east, some southeast, some up here. You can see it's kind of got a little bit of a northeast component to it. New system here. More than likely going to bring rain into the Atlanta area later on this evening if it holds together, and more than likely it will. And like I said, all this ground in here is very, very wet already. So when it does have a chance to dry out and things bloom, they're going to be in super bloom mode. Super bloom mode. So allergies and pollens are going to be off the charts. You can actually see pollen at certain times of the year, usually the spring, of course, from space, believe it or not. On certain satellite instruments, they are configured. I don't know if it was on purpose or what, but you can see pollen at certain times of the day in the springtime on one of the GOES satellites. I'll have to try to find it. I've seen it before, and it was just a thick cloud that covered hundreds of square, if not thousands of square miles. Unbelievable. And then it kind of gives you a true perspective of, okay, now I see where these allergies and pollen, where it comes from. It was amazing. And you can tell that east of the Mississippi, the ground is much greener, and there's more photosynthesis that goes on over here than there is out west. It's totally obvious on certain satellite instruments. That's actually kind of cool. I know when I first saw it, you thought it was some sort of an anomaly or something, and it was nothing more than vegetation. There's more vegetation east of the Mississippi than there is west of the Mississippi. And you can see it from space. Pretty cool, especially in the spring when stuff's in bloom. Now in the winter, everything's kind of evened out. You don't really notice it as much. But after the spring bloom, oh boy, you can totally tell. The storm's slowing down some. It's almost like it's ran into it's met a wall or something here. Yeah, there's a line of, maybe it's warm air. I don't know what's going on here, but the storm has slowed down considerably. Parts of the storm have taken off, branched off on their own. I don't know. Huh. Yeah, you can see the storm has slowed down considerably. It's not moving as fast as what it was. But I don't see a severe component in here right now, but but that doesn't mean that there won't be later. But at least right now, things are looking pretty good. In fact, I think Nashville is in the clear, at least with regard to severe weather. Certainly didn't want to see that. No way. I think the storms are on Nashville now. Yeah. Look at that. Split the middle. That's good. Got some storms up here in Kentucky, Dawson Springs, Madisonville, Nebo or Nebo, Earlington, Morton's Gap, Nortonville, Crofton. This entire area here. Getting some moderate rain, moderate to heavy. Hopkinsville, Trenton, Fort Campbell North, Lafayette, Cadiz? Is that what that says? Cadiz? Fairly heavy up in this area here by Nebo and Madisonville, and that's up in western Kentucky. But as far as Nashville goes, looking pretty good. Looks like the storm split the difference and put Nashville right in the center. Good deal, because earlier, 30 minutes ago, it looked like severe weather was headed that way. It stayed south, and those storms are now headed into, they've gained speed actually. Forward momentum has picked up as they head towards Lewisburg, Chapel Hill, and that's in Tennessee, below Murfreesboro, southwest of Murfreesboro. Everything else is pretty rural. So looking good. Good deal. Nashville looking good. Got a little bit of ground clutter. That's what we see here. That's base reflectivity. That's where the radar's at, right there. The reason that hole's right there, do you know why that hole's right there in the center of the screen? That is just a dark void. You guys are familiar with what radar systems look like. They look like a giant golf ball up on a tower. And they scan outward and slightly upward at an angle in a circular motion. That's how they detect the atmosphere, and then we can translate it into the form of weather. But they can't detect straight up. That's why there's a black void there. That's straight up from the radar. So it creates a black circle because it can't detect straight above its radar platform. Only out, not up. That's why that looks like that. So it's not even a glitch. It's actually supposed to be there. These storms here are moving along probably at around 45 miles an hour. So now we're starting to see a mixture of forward speeds, some strength, a little bit of strength increase, but not too much. But the speed has definitely picked up with these, headed towards Leicester, Minor Hill, Lexington, and that is Lexington, Tennessee. That would be down in southern Tennessee, not Lexington, Kentucky. Right in here. That's Lexington, Tennessee. But those storms are moving rather quickly. That's the system that stayed south of Nashville, which that's great. Gonna go down and take a look at Mississippi. Those storms are headed towards the east, southeast. They seem to have slowed down. They haven't stopped, but they've slowed down, definitely. Definitely slowed down, and now they're kind of changing direction a little bit. Moving more of a due east than east-southeast. More of a due east movement. Don't see any signs of supercells or severe weather. Everything looks pretty good, guys, to be honest. A little bit of heavy rain, but, you know, not anything that none of you can't handle. Looking good. And remember, the potential cyclone off the Gold Coast down in Australia could, if it changes course, could bring 28 inches of rain if it were to go inland along the Gold Coast of Australia. And it would have to change course, you know, several degrees, which is possible. It's happened before. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, though, but still a long ways out. We know what forecasts do. Forecasts can and will change. So we'll have to definitely wait and see. I know some of you had expressed interest about looking at the GO 16 instrument. I use this every day. It's awesome weather satellite. I use it constantly. I have it going all the time, you know, and I watch the weather pretty close. Watch the skies pretty close. In fact, here it is. If you guys want to see it. This is the GOES East infrared, and I have it on CONUS. That's North America, continental U.S. And you can see there's a big low pressure coming in from British Columbia. That's going to bring some snow into parts of Montana, Wyoming. You can see that's headed right towards the Yellowstone supervolcano. The big energy system coming up from the southwestern part of the country, that would be the East Pacific, Southeast Pacific. Look at that. Looks like an atmospheric river coming into Arizona, New Mexico. All of that energy that we've been watching over in the Central Plains came from here. This is where it originated from. All the storms, well, at least the majority, not all, of the North Atlantic storms have originated over here. So it's been a very consistent pattern of weather. And that's got, look at there, there's more rain coming up towards Arizona over the next 24 to 48 hours. There's a lot of moisture in there. Here's the area where we've been following for the last hour or so, right in here. Here comes the storm system. Went through Missouri last night, northeastern Arkansas, and this is when we picked it up right here. Going through Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. See how it's kind of weakening some now? That seems to be the overall trend of that system. So hopefully for today, it will remain that way. All right, guys. I think we're going to call it a day. I appreciate everybody sticking around and watching. Luckily, we didn't see any tornadoes or any supercells form that could have produced tornadoes. What we watched was pretty moderate and well within bounds of anything we could handle. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a super day and be safe out there.